All right, that was actually Mitaire Ikpen and not Oyemi Ajayi. Many thanks. And to begin the conversation, let me begin by introducing here in the studio the Reverend Father Dr. Emmanuel Unamba, Chairman, Interreligious Dialogue Commission, Catholic Archdiocese of Abuja, and priest in charge of St. Cyril Catholic Church, Kadokuchi, here in Abuja. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
All right, and also joining us from Kaduna is Reverend John Hayab. He's Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, Northern Region. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you too for having me, and good morning to all Nigerians.
Good morning, Reverend. And joining us via Zoom from Bauchi is Dr. Saleh Momole. He's a peace advocate. Welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Still joining us via Zoom from Istanbul is Imam Fuad Adeyemi, Chief Imam Al-Habibiyya Society of Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody.
Let's begin from Istanbul. Let me begin with Imam Fuad Adeyemi. How did you receive the news of the content of that U.S. bill, which talks about religious accountability in Nigeria? And what's your take?
So much. Good morning. I want to thank you for the work which you are doing. First and foremost, when I heard it, I was confused, I was worried, and I was concerned. One, I do not know any place where people are being killed because of their religion. Then, two, in Nigeria, we have discovered that these people are killing us. They are looking for a way where we will not be able to face them. When they set the Muslim against Christian, instead of us to look for a solution, we will be attacking ourselves. That is one. Then, the other area, it is the only thing that is normal between the Muslim and the Christian in this country is good relationship. And you look at where they start killing people in the north. The majority of the people are there are Muslim.
Right, I think we are having a little challenge with connectivity to Imam Fuad Adeyemi there. We'll get back to him once we get this cleared up. But let me get back here in the studio where we have Reverend Father Onamba. I'll put the same question to you. What's your immediate reaction to the U.S. bill? You know, imagining where it must have come from. They called it the Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025, which was proposed in the U.S. Senate. How did you receive it and the allegations that it contains?
Thank you very much. And then good morning, Nigeria, once more. This country belongs to all of us, and those who must put the country in order are Nigerians. The bill emanating from outside of the shores of the nation seems to suggest that some other people are even more interested in the welfare of Nigeria. And, that's why it's suspicious. Are they really interested in the welfare of Nigeria or not? But my immediate reaction, I would like to employ this theory of the danger of the single story. In our world of today of AI and technology, of recent, the Pope Leo XIV told us that, yes, technology is good, but we should be wary because of the human element. The human person is still as important because the technology works by what the data it gets. It's what is put into the data that helps it to generate the answers it gives you. And so my immediate reaction could be that they have got a whole lot of data inputted into them that made them to be scared. And so I go back to that danger of a single story, that they have become so scared that they thought that the violence, the killing is so widespread and is genocidal. And therefore, they hold that single story as the only story. Let me a bit explain that theory of the danger of a single story. The single story is not false, but it is incomplete. The deputy speaker, Benjamin Kallo, hit it the nail at the head when he says it's incomplete. Yes, people are being killed, Christians are being killed, but there are other stories around. It's not only Christians who are killed, there are also Muslims who are killed. There are people who are not even believers who are killed. So I think the data that was put into them helped them to generate their conclusion. And that's why they have made that move. That's what I can say to begin with. But when we go deeper, we'll be able to understand, are there certain things that are missing? Maybe there are some other stories that should join to make it a complete story.
Of course, there are so many things that are missing because the terrorist doesn't ask you your fate before he kills you.
Exactly.
Exactly. So let's bring in Reverend Hayab into this conversation. He's joining us from our Kaduna Network studio. Reverend Hayab, you've listened to the two guests who have spoken on this issue, and you've been in the studio with us here when we discuss religious harmony, coexistence and all that. So what was your reaction when you had Ted Cruz on Fox News saying that there's genocide in Nigeria against Christians? And I would like you to comment on that. What is the true narrative here?
Thank you very much for that question. Well, I cannot say that I was shocked, because I think I've been following events. Whatever led to the S-27 bill have some background. Whether it is right or wrong, as Reverend Father said, there's an element of truth, but not a complete truth. So my concern simply was, you can see the failure of addressing some yesterday's mistake have led us into now struggling to correct today's story. When this matter started, actually it became heated when an American comedian came out publicly to say that certain number of Christians have been killed, and another person who wanted to show he knows the story more than the comedian added salt to injury by saying, look, the number is even far more than what the comedian said. When you look at the figures they were throwing around, first 100,000, next 500,000, every right-thinking human being who hears that will be worried. What probably is supposed to have been done is to get back to the Christian community in Nigeria to verify whether those figures are accurate or whether those figures are exaggerated. Unfortunately, I don't know whether they did or they did and got the wrong person. But for me, who have been in this, and I know, what was clear is that that figure was a huge exaggeration. A lot of people have been killed, especially Christians, because we have to call a spade if we want to correct it. But the bandits and the terrorists have gone beyond just killing Christians, they are also killing others. But truly speaking, there was a time Christians were in pains, they cry out on your same television. So those stories add together have led to where we are today. So if we are going to be addressing the issue of American decision, first, let's look at our position, what went wrong that led to this. Then we draw the attention and say, oh, but you don't know a development. You don't know the new thing that we are facing. You don't know where we are now. So you are still judging us according to yesterday. Because there was a time, those things happened. In Kaduna, for example, virtually everywhere we were either burying 20, 30, 40, 50. And when you look at the simple definition of a genocide, if there is either a deliberate or systematic persecution or killing of a particular group of people for whatever reason, it could be called a genocide. But are we having it now? No, that one I can clearly say without controversy. But there was a time you could say that and beat your chest that it is happening, because I, as pastor, I buried so many people, I know that. And at that time, it wasn't like they were killing Christians and then the next day they killed Muslims. No, it was exclusively one-sided killing. But there's a shift, which has not, probably we've not marketed that shift to the world to know, oh, Nigeria is beginning to have it better. Nigeria is beginning to go away from that yesterday. So we have to combine. I don't think it was just a one-night thing that everything comes up like that. So I wasn't really confused about the story because I understand how it's coming. I only realize that we have a lot to do to correct that narrative, considering the recent reality, and then draw lessons from it, so that in the future we will not have anybody dragging us to this. So this is it. And you know, when we were even trying to correct the narrative at the beginning, what I hear coming out of the media, and especially from government, was probably what just helped some of this wrong narrative to stand, was that there's no persecution at all in Nigeria. I think anybody who comes out publicly and say that is not doing good to the religious people, whether they are Christians or Muslim. Because when a Christian is killed, it is persecution. When a Muslim is killed, it is persecution. What happened to Shia was the persecution. You call it whatever you want to call it. So we have to understand these things. Even the young lady that was killed in Sokoto for blasphemy, and the young lady in Niger that was also killed, it's religious persecution. So when we put these things together, we are beginning to find a way to correct the narrative that yes, some criminals or some terrorists or some evil people are doing this, but we don't support them as a religious group, neither do we support them as an institution, neither do we support them as government. But when we want to just make it look as if nothing like that, then people will start asking questions. Are we trying to find, are we telling the truth? Are we finding solution? Or those things do not exist? Because I am the only person who can tell you how I feel pains. Whether I was hot, whether I couldn't sleep, whether I ran out of my house. I'm happy with the caliber you put together today, because it's good we digest this. You know, one of the mistakes that have been going on is the kind of caption we put to most of the things happening in Nigeria. Like me, I always tell those who care to listen, don't ever tell me that this crisis is farmers' herders. And I will tell you, you are just saying it to please a narrative that you want to please some people. But you know, how can someone be sleeping in his room and some criminals, call them whatever name, come out there, kill him, burn his wife, burn his children, burn his house, burn his place of worship, and you still call it farmers' herders? Where is the farm in this context? When was even the farmers' issue? So these are the issues we've not been able to handle, and that's why this kind of narrative is going. But I am happy that we are discussing, so that we will help those who are not Nigerians to know, yes, there was a time we had this problem. But is it there now? I can tell them no. Because I've made research around the north. In the last 6 months, in the last 1 year, we don't have a situation, we don't have one state that can tell us, apart from the Yelwaita story in Benue, and then the killings in Plateau. But to a large extent, there is great reduction in the mass killing. So if someone is trying to tell us, he should be able to also understand that we are making progress. Because when you want to make a bill against us, look at the progress we are making and understand that your bill should be with the current reality.
Thank you very much, Reverend John Hayab, for your initial remarks. We'll get back to you in the course of the conversation. I understand that Imam Fuad Adeyemi is set now, and his audio is better. So, Imam, earlier you were trying to, give us your initial reaction, but add to it. You have been a peace and interfaith advocate, a very vocal one for that matter. So how do you take to the fact that people outside the country are trying to paint this narrative at this particular time?
I'm very grateful. I'm sorry for the technical issues that we have in the beginning. First and foremost, I want to greet and welcome my friend, my brother, Reverend Aya, and my sheikh, who is also there. But one thing that I want us to know is that I'm surprised and I'm worried that we as Nigerians were yet to see things the way they are. My friend, my brother says that at the time they were killing Christians, but I don't know whether I still remember of every one Christian that was killed, about 8 to 10 Muslims were killed in other places. So the issue of us to look at it as if it is a conscious genocide on a particular religion, it calls for a lot of concern. What our enemies want to gain, it is what we are doing. For us to assume it is the Christians that are killing Muslims, or it is the Muslims that are killing Christians. If you notice where all these killings are, they are mainly in the north. Now, see the number of people that are being killed in Sokoto every day because it's not being reported. See the number of people that are being killed in Katsina every day because it's not being reported. Look at what is happening in Zamfara, and currently what is happening in Kwara and Nukiode. 60 to 70% of the people in Okeode, they are Muslims, and they were being killed in numbers. Do we now say that it's a deliberate thing to eliminate the Muslims? I think we should understand this issue. And I will also refer us to the current United States Commission on Religious Freedoms report that was released around May or June. I want everyone to go and look for that report. In the report, on the page 28 of it, Nigeria has been designated as country of particular concern, CPC. If a particular country is designated as country of particular concern, you need so many reasons, you need so many things to make that thing work, and that is what the House, the US Congress will now confirm it, that this particular country is a country of particular concern, CPC. And unfortunately, we Nigerians, we are also walking into their hand by saying it is against Muslim, it is against Christian. I'm worried and I feel like crying when I hear anybody saying that the killing here is against the Muslims or is against the Christian. My brother was also talking about the lady that was killed in Sokoto that time. Around the same time, a particular family who are Muslim was wiped out in Enugu because nobody is talking about that. And they were wiped out, they were killed because they were Muslims, because they were from the north. Don't forget, a man, a woman, and all their children were wiped out. And so many cases like that. Because the Muslim approach to life is different to most people's approach to life. To us, we see that destiny and Allah's decision is important in us. And that is why they shout on the north that the number of people that are being killed as if the Muslims were not being killed. And I've always tell people, if you look, you take the statistics of the number of Muslims and Christians, especially in Maiduguri, in Yobe, in Bauchi, in where all these killings are much more pronounced, you discover it is even the Muslims that are there. I always tell people, of every church that was burnt at that time, at least 8 to 7 mosques were burnt. But because those who control the media are the people who have a particular interest. But I don't think this is what we need. We need to understand that we have a problem that is collectively. Until when we come together, until when we reason together, and we are able to see that these are criminals that want to eliminate us and want to take over our land, want to take over our wealth, that is the time we'll be able to solve this problem. In as much you are having a kind of a simple thing to feel that it is against me, it is against you, we've not seen it, that it is against ourselves, we will not get to anywhere.
Thank you so much, Imam Fawad, for your opening comments there, and you've raised a lot of pertinent questions. We'll now bring in Dr. Saleh Momale into this conversation. First of all, you give us your reaction to what is happening, in the American Senate on Nigeria, and you can also tell us what concrete steps has the Nigerian government taken to promote religious harmony and protect freedom of worship here in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all Nigerians once again. I will have to start by commending the Nigerian Television Authority for taking up this matter, and also the Nigerian National Assembly for bringing it up on the floors of the Assembly for discussion. I think this is critical. They need to do more of that, and also work with their colleagues, the state houses of assemblies across the states, to discuss and deliberate on these issues so that the right information and the needed awareness will be created. I think, like my colleague, Reverend Hayab, earlier mentioned, there is a history to this. There are issues that have happened across the country. There are concerns, absolutely, that's correct. There have been deaths of Nigerians due to violence of different forms and different dimensions across the country. Extrajudicial killings have taken place and is still taking place, and like he acknowledged, although significantly reducing over the last 2 years, which is a very positive progress for the country. However, what we need to look at is that this discourse about Christians being targeted in Nigeria's violence is not a recent phenomenon. I could recall the debates in 2018 to 2019 by the inter-party advisory group of the UK Parliament, where this issue was hotly debated. There were even inquiries and sittings, and many presentations have been made, and it was a topical issue. It has also been there within the United States and other countries of concern. However, the facts of the matter are accurately as stated by Imam Fahad about, as well as Reverend Hayab in their opening introductory remarks. Of course, Nigerians have been killed. Are they killed because of their religion? Absolutely no. Is it only Christians that are killed? Absolutely no. All Nigerians of all faiths are killed. The question has always been, the question that is being posed is that more Christians are killed than Muslims. The response here, or the accuracy of this, is contestable because, one, the accuracy of the records and information that we have, both in the public domain, is not substantiated, is not verified, is not substantially researched, except, for example, where some few organizations carried out research. Most of it, again, focus on their own constituencies, really extending that beyond their constituencies to provide a national coverage. Secondly, generally, there is more reportage of events that happens in certain parts of the country than in other parts of the country. There are more reportage and there is more analysis of issues of certain type of dimension than other types of dimensions. And I think all of this contribute in some of the narratives that we have. So overall, Nigerians have a big responsibility. The governments of the country have a huge responsibility. Our local institutions have a huge responsibility. But also our religious bodies and our religious institutions have a huge responsibility to provide the right narratives, to see every other Nigerian as part of their constituency, to see the killing of every Nigerian, whether a Muslim or a Christian, as something that they should abhor and something that should not be tolerated, to report, to provide equal statistics and equal reporting, and for us, develop that feeling in Nigerians in such a way that we feel the pains of each other, irrespective of our ethnic or religious attachment. I think these are critical. And then our media organizations also have to rise up to the challenge to provide balanced reporting, to provide accurate reporting, and avoid sensationalization. And then finally, just to mention that our political leaders, in some instances, political actors also contribute to some of these narratives, to discredit sitting governments, to discredit certain government institutions and things like that. I think these are not patriotic approaches to dealing with topical national issues, especially those that have to deal with the lives and properties of Nigerians.
I'm going to stay with you. Tell us, how does misinformation, from influential figures like Senator Ted Cruz, affect Nigeria's image abroad?
That's very, very important because the voices of leading personalities across the world have significant impact. More so members of Congress, more so members of Parliament across the world, and then major religious leaders as well across the globe, both within Nigeria and outside Nigeria, have significant impact. And again, there are people of significant public interest and who are very useful in public discourse, whose statements means a lot. And I think, like the House of Representatives met in its resolution, I think it is right to get across to some of these top political leaders within the US Congress, to present evidences and facts. I could recall some of the presentations that was done to the UK Interparliamentary Group on Freedom of Religion. That presentations met by eminent Nigerians, met by top civil society groups, some of them with international reputation in the UK Parliament, significantly doused some of those misunderstandings and perceptions that were there within the UK Parliament about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. And I think Senator Ted Cruz and other leading and ranking members of Congress need to be provided. Both the Congress and the Senate of the United States need to be provided with facts. Nigerians, civil society organizations, and religious bodies need to be patriotic enough need to protect the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians across the globe, and to view some of these things as capable of affecting the corporate integrity of this country, especially considering the strength of international diplomacy in some of these. And you can hear some of the comments that Nigeria should be denied access to key weapons, which is very, very dangerous in dealing with the rising criminality and some of the insurgents. We all know that what happened to this country sometime between 2014, 2015, when the country was battling with insurgency in the Northeast and many countries of the world, led by the US, we are restricting the supply of critical arms. We all know, for example, that many of the air assets that we need to fight some of this insurgency in the Northeast, which is also emerging in some parts of the Northwest, as well as parts of the North Central around Kwara states, need high-level technical military wares to support our Nigerian military. Issues like this will restrict our Nigerian access to this critical infrastructure, with these critical military assets and security gadgets that we require to deal with some of these insurgent groups. So I think it is patriotic for us Nigerians, for our leaders across the board, for our former leaders like our former presidents and outstanding personalities within the religious faith to reach out and to engage.
Thank you very much, Dr. Momale, for your remarks. Let me get back here in the studio. I think, having heard from all the speakers, we have been able to gather, it's not as if there haven't been killings, right? But the coloring from the US that Nigeria is at religious war is the subject here. And so for someone like you, Reverend Father Unamba, who works daily to foster dialogue between, faiths, Christians, Muslims, and all that, what's your reading of the relationship between faiths in Nigeria as we speak?
Okay, let me talk about the narratives again. Of recent, earlier this year, even before this, the noise of this, I was asked to write a report because our partners abroad are always concerned when they hear of killings and killings. So I wrote that report, and in that report, which I want to refer to, I tried to identify 4 categories of the crisis. The first is the pure banditry, which affects everyone and is done by anybody. Pure banditry, kidnapping and all that. Then we have the second degree, which is the Islamist movement, where Boko Haram and the Lakurawa and others come in, who are feeling that they have a religious obligation to do what they are doing. Then we have also the tribal conflict that pertains to land, leadership, and all that. And then finally, we have the religious conflict that deals with what Reverend Hayap talked about, that deals with you have infringed on our religious light, you blaspheme against our religion, and because of that, there's conflict, crisis, killing Christians, killing Muslims. So those are the 4 areas that are prevalent in our present situation, but there's not always that error of painting the whole thing with one brush. And that's why I go back again to the primordial statement I made of taking one of the stories, picking one, and then blowing it out of proportion to cover the rest. It doesn't mean that Christians are not killed, just as Reverend Hayop said, but there are other stories. So coming back to the question now, we are in a country, and I have already made mention on the fact that we are the ones to make this country work. Others cannot make it work for us. And I'm always wary when, for instance, we are quoting United Nations, quoting IMF, in terms of data and statistics in Nigeria. We are the one to give them the data. But we seem not to. I know we have a bureau that's called Bureau of Statistics. So I don't know. Can we get statistics from our home? Because we are the one on ground. Let us get these statistics from us and give them the right information. Just as I was saying now, trying to give them the proper perspective so that they will not think it's only one aspect. And then let us now come home and begin to build peace. And one of the problems that brings about violence and conflict is lack of justice. lack of justice, when there is no justice, then we are going to enter into conflict, because something happens and it's not nipped at the bud, then it continues to fester until it gets out of hand. In that report, again, I would like to mention I identified 3 big elephants in the room that are suffocating us, and I wouldn't but mention them. Politics, a situation where we have the politicization of religion and the religionization of politics, where every conflict is deemed as political or as religious. That is very wrong, which we need to work on. And then the second one is government. I've already mentioned the fact that justice must be seen to be done. Government should sit up. Sometimes we are not proactive, like what Reverend Hayapo also mentioned. We are not proactive to solve certain problems. We allow them to fester. And then lack of good governance. So when we have that good governance, then things will be better for us. Most of these problems are then, when you go back to the primordial cause, you see that it's more of a lack of opportunities that cause us. There was a time when there was no conflict, or we are living perpetually in harmony. It just came all of a sudden. Things fell apart. You remember our good leaders. I know of Zik, our Nnamdi Azikiwe. He was born in the north. He lived in the north. Kaduna and Zogu, an Igbo man who, we are all living together. But all of a sudden, things fell apart because we will not take proper actions to nip the problem at the bud. And then finally, the final elephant I saw in the room that is causing our problem is the foreign interference. Yes. There are many people who are interested in Nigeria and what is happening in Nigeria, and they will do their possible best to see that they are in control of Nigeria. So we have religious bigots or even politicians who want to take hold of Nigeria. And so they cause problem for us. Imam Fuad Adeyemi has given us another headway. Let us come together and fight our common enemy. Our enemies are outside of us. If we don't come together to fight them, they will create problem for us. I always refer to the fable of the 2 stupid goats that made themselves at the narrow bridge. Instead of them to see how they can manage, they started fighting and then fell into the river and drowned. First of all, who made the bridge? Why was it made narrow? Those are the people we fight, not ourselves. Somebody has caused this problem for us. So if Christians and Muslims are able to come together, and there are a whole lot of facts that promote that both in the Bible and the Quran, why we need to come together. If we're able to come together, we will face our common enemies. But what is happening now is that our enemies, both politicians and those outside, are pitching us against ourselves, and then we keep fighting ourselves while they
and we are falling for it.
Yes,
we are falling for it.
An analyst said that unless we remove religion from politics, Nigeria will not get better. Let's bring in Reverend Hayap. Reverend Hayap, you've listened to the other guest's contribution, and let's talk about beyond government itself. Every time we say government has to do this, government has to do this. Beyond government, what contributions have local faith leaders and civil society groups made to sustain peace between Muslims and Christians? Because I remember when Boko Haram started, the comment then on social media was, nah, them, made them kill themselves until it spread. And I remember correctly, when the local vigilantes in Maiduguri started, it started on the day that an Igbo man was killed in Hausari, and they said this cannot happen because this man has lived with us for more than 30 years. So they rounded up and did a ring around the area and were able to get the Boko Haram guy hiding in a tree with his AK-47, and he was brought down. And, this is a community that says we will not condone the killing of Christians in our community. So how can the community itself, Nigerians itself, be able to fight this outside influence, like the Reverend is saying, outside influence that is trying to destroy our country? Because the interest in Nigeria, everybody can see, is out there. The international community is very interested in Nigeria and what Nigeria has in our country.
I think first we must give credit to our religious leaders and faith-based NGOs or faith-based organizations. The truth about it is that they've been doing a lot in promoting unity, in promoting harmony, in correcting some of the wrongs. But you see, their voice is not loud enough. Sometimes it is not loud enough because some people don't want to hear their voice. Sometimes it's not loud enough because they don't have enough resources to go beyond the areas they are. Sometimes it's not loud enough because some political interests feel that, oh, this one work will hinder us getting what we want to. So, but we must give them credit. And I'm happy that in this program today, I'm together with my brother, Imam Fuad Adeyemi. You know what we've been doing. He's somebody I respect and I hold in high esteem for his program on your television, the Abrahamic Mission, where we sit to talk about togetherness. If you see the response we get from people, that means people are wondering what is happening. Why are we even having the issues of fight? So there's effort out there. But you know, Nigerian is huge. You cannot just do one and think you've done all. You need to do it over and over. It's like eating food in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, all through the week, all through the month, all through the years. So this is what we want to see done. We are doing it from angle. I work for Global Peace, where we say we are one family under God, trying to remind people of religion, that whether you are a Muslim, a Christian, whatever religion you belong, you are first a human being. So let's celebrate our common humanity. We look value-based approach, calling on people to understand things that binds them together, things that knit them together. Look, you are who you are for because of me, or I am what I am because of you. Like the Ubuntu theory that Africans are championing recently. So these are reality that we have to give credit to religious organizations. They are doing it. But having given credit, let's also accept that there are also others among the religious group who do not understand this. My colleagues there can confirm, in some other religious cycle, if you even go to a meeting interfaith, they start querying you, why are you doing interfaith? Are you making all religious one? Or are you compromising? And so on. So we know that. And that's why when I started this conversation, I didn't want to start with speaking the nice language. No. If we want to correct these things, we must admit the things that we realize are wrong. The things in our understanding are happening. That's when the doctor can now say, oh, is that so? So this is the kind of medication we will apply. Because most time, since we don't want to say the negative side of it, we just want to speak nicely, we take the wrong medication and end up not being healed. So once we know all these things, we will do. We still have to speak about government, my sister. Because in this country called Nigeria, we are governed by law. Look, to register my NGO, I still need government to approve it before I start operating, or else they can query and say this is an illegal operation. So when the religious leaders are doing their best, I like the example you used about the civilian JTF and why it all started. There are many in so many places in Nigeria. The truth is that credit must be given to those people. Unfortunately, recently a national honor was given, and I didn't see any one of them on the list. I wish one or two of them would have been there, because our country should begin to celebrate those who do some good things for them. Do good things to unite the country, good things to bring about peace, good things to stamp out evil, good things to chase out enemy, good things to do to make this country what it should be. But when this honor is circulated among appointees and people who have been elected, then it makes the honor not good enough. But I'm just saying this, by the way, to bring to know that there are good things happening in this country, but people don't know them. And I think that's one of the reasons why the American system don't seems to know that there are good things happening, there are good people happening, and they just think it is just that one-sided story that they have had. But we have to understand where they are coming from and why they have the wrong information, or the information that is one-sided. Then we begin to work to promote the right information, the information that combines, the information that everybody is in need, and the information that, look, something is wrong. People are being killed in this country because of certain identity, and we say no to it as religious people, we say no to it as community people, we say no to it as stakeholders, we say no to it as people who understand what it means to be protected by your country. And when these things start happening and goes further, then this kind of narrative will change. Because the other groups may be parading themselves as religious leaders, but they are not. Their job is to sell stories out there to get recognition, to sell stories out there to get food. But you see, they cannot sell any story without something to hang on. And so the first illustration I gave were the things that helped them to have a story to sell. And because there are also lack of actions to stop this evil, to put people where they belong, to show that there is a government in the land. So this kind of narratives work. But I'm happy that we're having this engagement, and I want to recommend that, look, there is need for in Christianity, we have many groups that are working on freedom of religious belief. We need to bring them together and engage them in conversation, because the report that goes out of this country is from them. Among Muslims, they also have many groups who are working on freedom of religious belief. We need to bring them together and engage them to know the kind of stories and narrative they give out to their donors, to whoever is funding their research. Then we will be able, for national security and national harmony, then it will help in restoring confidence, it will help in correcting the wrong narrative, it will help in even waking up government to begin to act, because they are acting on a true diagnosis of the ailment. Oh, this group told us this, and we want to address it. The other group told us this and that, and we want to address it. Now, both end is seeing action that really shows that yes, some criminal elements or terrorists or whatever name you call them are tormenting Nigeria, but government is after them. I came out publicly when the Office of National Security Advisor announced the arrest of the Ansaru terror group. It was, I said to Nigerians that we shouldn't be complaining every day to that government is not doing things when there is one success and we're keeping quiet. No, if there's one success, let's also come to public light and celebrate it. And we urge them to do more. The more we get this kind of people arrested who are making some of this narrative look like true, but they are not doing it for the entire Muslim. I can say that without fear of being misquoted, because Ansaru couldn't have killed me because I'm a Muslim. They killed me because I do not agree with their ideology. But they don't represent Islam. I know that. But because they still kill me, I need to cry that someone is killing me. And when you hear me crying, then you say, oh, wait a minute, let's do something to show these people that they are creating problem for this country and they are killing citizens. Or any group among Christians who kill a Muslim, we have to cry out to say, oh, some people are killing our brothers because they are hiding under some form of identity. Let's expose them so that these things do not continue. Once we begin to do that on both sides, then we are changing the narrative. We are showing something else. Most of the biggest challenge of our country is denial. We want to make things look that they never happen, and you can't heal a sickness or a wound or a matter if you deny it. You must first acknowledge it, then you find solution. And I think we have started well, acknowledging it, finding solution, and admitting that there is a shift. If anybody do not repeat that, I will repeat that several times in this meeting, that there is a shift from yesterday to today. So I cannot start holding this current administration responsible for what happened too far ago. That's probably why we voted them, or Nigerians voted them, to make that change. So they are beginning to make the change. So I want to support them to improve the change. I want to encourage them to improve the change. I want to pray for them to improve the change. I want to mobilize people and advocate for better things, for the change to keep coming. So that probably in the next 2 years, in the next 4 years, we will forget this story and be living the way we used to live in the past. I was in Al-Habia mosque during the Ramadan. I helped in sharing food. Nobody cares. I actually wore my dress like this. But people were collecting food from me in the mosque. They didn't judge me as a Christian, because it is about service to humanity. It is about love for fellow human beings. It's not about my identity. But are there identity issues? Yes, there are. We may be talking with Imam Fuad Adeyemi. We may be talking with Father. We may be talking with Mamole. But down in the community, have they really understood this? Are they talking and understanding it the way we are doing? This is the work we need to continue to do until we completely eliminate, eradicate, and stop this evil that is giving us a bad picture abroad. Then those who are now coming up with a bill will understand that, oh, we really didn't know that there are good things happening in that country. We thought it's a narrow story that is only happening.
All right, Dr. Reverend Hayab, thank you very much for your remarks. And just to tell our viewers that you can send in your messages, the number to use is on your screen. Make it short. Let us know where you are sending in from, and let us know who you are, so that we can take the messages and also attend to the others. But let me quickly get to Imam Fuad Adeyemi. Now, what lessons do you think that Nigeria can teach the rest of the world regarding how Christians and Muslims have been able to live side by side, irrespective of decades of challenges?
I think, as if you are with me where I am, this is exactly what I promoted where I am, because about religious and development where I am now. You see, Nigerian, God in his infinite mercy has given us a gift that is not common to any nation whatsoever. Believe me, when you travel, you see what is happening in other countries, you will know Nigeria is a special country. That we have Christians, we have Muslims, and we have other religious groups that we work together, we do things together. First and foremost, I want us to understand one thing. And I have two examples that will know that we have to understand ourselves. There is a country called Eritrea. I don't know whether many of us remember that country called Eritrea. They are part of Ethiopia. They felt that they are Muslims, that the other people are cheating them, they are not doing enough, and they cut off from the main country, Ethiopia. They assume that they want to enjoy. Today, nobody knows anything about Eritrea because they are in serious problem. The same thing with South Sudan. It was the Christians who felt that they were not being given enough rights and something are happening. They allow outsiders to influence their thinking. And today, you see what is happening in South Sudan. These are two good examples for us, both the Christian and for the Muslim in Africa. God, in his infinite mercy, has given us the opportunity for us that our greatest strength, it is in this diversity. But we need to understand one thing, that God, we need education. And that's why I will appreciate NTA, and I will thank them for the work which they are doing. When we were well educated about ourselves, when we understand ourselves, at the end of the day, we discover that some people are coming from outside because they want to use us and they want to use what God has given to us. Then besides, we also need to understand government has to do something quick and very important. People accuse me that I mention US most of the time because we have seen them as a role model. I do not know whether you are aware that in May this year, the President of America has just set up a commission for religious liberty. I don't know whether you are aware. They just set it up in May this year. If America can set up a commission for religion, the people will think that they don't have anything for religion, and our government is there, that the only thing that works in our country is our religion, and government is closing its eyes as if those things are nothing, then we still not know what we are doing. If we cannot sit down, if we have a kind of a warehouse, like an office, who warehouse all this information, all these narratives that are going outside, there will be a particular office who will be able to be going there to be attending to this thing, and we wouldn't have been getting to this level where we see blatant lies that they will be saying against us. If the government is been up to what we are supposed to do as far as religion is concerned, we have been saying it, we have been canvassing it, we have been talking about it. We cannot assume that religion is not important. Where everywhere in the world today, religion is the one that is ruling everything, whether you like it or not. And where I'm coming from, unfortunately, I could not be bringing out one of the things which we are just doing, we just finishing yesterday. Almost all the countries of the world, they now want to work on how to leverage on the strength and power of religion in their country to make things better. We are pretending as if we are just from heaven and nothing is important to us as far as our religion is concerned. So we just have to do something that we know more about ourselves, we know more about our religion. When we do this, we'll be able to work together. I'm happy everybody that's on this thing. I wish you see us the way we relate, and we need to expand more on the way we, so that people who are the grassroots will be able to see that. So some people have been lying to us that Christians are my enemy, that Muslims are my enemy. Government, we have to do something to expand this information, so people can have better information, they can have better understanding, we'll be able to understand ourselves, we'll be able to appreciate ourselves, and we'll be able to honor ourselves based on the way which we are. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Imam Fuad, for that. And don't forget that you can send in your messages and we'll read them to our guests so that they can respond to them. But right now, we need to take a break. We'll be right back.
The Renewed Hope Initiative RHI presents the RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow. Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Of course, we've been discussing religion as it affects Nigeria, and our guests have been up to the task. But we have messages that have come in. Let's take some messages so that our guests can also respond to some of them. And I'll begin with this one from Ahmed Babad Dikwa. The conflict in Nigeria involves multifaceted violence, he says, including farmer-header clashes, criminal banditry, and sectarian attacks that claims victims of all faiths. Now, while Christians in certain regions face severe and targeted persecution, inflating the death toll to such a degree distorts the reality of the situation, harms productive dialogue, and ultimately undermines efforts to achieve an accurate understanding and effective resolution of the violence. Okay? And from Joshua Ajav from Makurdi, good morning, Nigeria, he writes, I applaud the National Assembly and NTA for bringing this issue on board. I heard former U.S. President, he said, not all Muslims are terrorists. Okay, and from Godwin in Lagos, who are the sponsors of these atrocities? Actually, both Christians and Muslims are victims. But who are those that sponsor these things? Why is this happening mostly in the north? I think that where the fire starts is the first place you start searching for the cause. These questions are begging for answers. And from, this one from Salisu Aliyu from Gwagwalada, all the imam and the pastors should join hands together and pray for this country. And our leaders should do the right thing. That's all. And finally, from Mascot here in Abuja, the issue of foreign intervention by USA, Canada, etc. on the terrorism situation in Nigeria should be seen beyond the way the American senator presented the matter. The federal government should directly look to the eyes of America and ask from them what they want.
What they want, indeed. Let's bring in Dr. Momole into the, just respond to some of these issues messages that have been sent to us.
Thank you very much. I think the messages are all very clear. They are apt, they address the core issues, and they contribute to understanding the context and the situation, and I think they are very useful. And one very important thing that we need to recognize regarding Nigeria as a nation is that rarely do you have any country with a near equal proportion of the population belonging to two faiths, Islam and Christianity, across all nations of the world. It's very absolutely rare to find that sort of balance. Secondly, it's very rare again to find a level of integration among the faiths like we do witness here in Nigeria. Take every city in Nigeria, whether a local government headquarters, whether a state headquarters, any major settlement, go to that settlement, look through the settlement, see the level of integration between Muslims and Christians, go to our markets, go to our institutions. There is rarely will you ever see anyone or any form of, perceived discrimination between the ordinary citizens of this country. And I think this is huge, this is big, this is something that our government and our faith-based institutions should look at, work on them so that we can strengthen this, we can strengthen the unity, and like other speakers say, we can collectively, unitedly face these challenges of insecurity, these challenges of extremism across board, and create the needed harmony that our societies need. So I think the comments and the responses are apt and very valuable.
Father.
Okay. With regard to the comments, you see, we are already having a consensus on the fact that one side of the story was overblown. But now we are trying to give out information. Information, they say, is power. And I can make allusion to the promotion, what do I call it? The promotion that is made by our president, President Tinubu, in the various media houses with regard to how we are one family living under the same roof. And at one occasion, if you remember, he made allusion to the fact that he's a proper Muslim and his wife is a pastor and they are living together. No one is fighting the other. There are no religious crises in his home. And that is what it is in many other places. So we now need to push this narrative. We now need the religious leaders talking about us, what we need to do to let our people understand. Because just as we have already established, while we are on this side of the story, there are other people who are on the other side. We are trying to see how we can push and live together in peace. But there are others who say, no, light has nothing to do with darkness. You go your way while we go our way, which is not proper. We need now to educate our followers, both Christian and Muslim. We need to let the people understand that we are created by the same God and we can live together. I remember there is a verse in the Quran that says, Leusha Allah, la ja'alakum ummatan wahida. If Allah had willed, He would have made us one nation. But He didn't do
and
that.
One religion.
And one
God
religion.
has no religion now.
Yes. But He created us differently so that we will learn how to interact with one another. So the more we learn that, because many Christians and many Muslims, we have not yet accepted that message that we can live together. Some people who feel that no, we can't come together. In our church, the Catholic Church, we have a document that is 60 years old this month in particular. It's called Nostra Aetate, that defines the church's relationship with people of other faith. And it tells us that we cannot call ourselves children of God when we are at enmity with people who are also children of God in other religions. So when we are able to understand that we have been created and we have equality before God, then you shouldn't begin to look at somebody, discriminate somebody on the basis of religion. You should be able to understand that he has equal right to life, equal right to dignity, equal right to everything, as you yourself are. And the golden rule of the Bible will tell you, do to no one what you wouldn't want done to you. So if you discriminate against somebody because of your religion, remember there are areas where you can be discriminated against because of your population. Dr. Saleh, the last speaker, talked about our equal number in this country. So if you are in Kano and you decide to discriminate against a Christian because you have the higher population, remember that there are other states in the south where the Muslims, so whatever you do can be done to you. So in order to avoid that being done to you, don't do it. Don't be unfair to anybody. And I also remember a hadith. Sorry, I'm trying to bring out this area so that we help us to understand that we need more education to our followers so that they will understand. That hadith from Sahih Muslim talks about that somebody cannot say he has faith when he doesn't love for his brother what he loves for himself. لَيُؤْمِنُ أَحَدُكُمْ حَتَّى يُحِبُّ لِأَخِيهِ مَا يُحِبُّ لِنَفْسِهِ. You cannot say you have faith in God when you don't love for your brother what you love for yourself. Exactly the story of the Good Samaritan, which is talked about in the Bible. So we need to start teaching, giving the narrative so that our followers will learn. Because there are many people who have not yet agreed to the fact that we can live together. So when we continue to push the narrative outside, just as our president is doing, let the national orientation continue to push that narrative so that we have a balanced story.
All right. Thank you very much, Reverend Father Onamba. Let me quickly get to Reverend John Hayab. Now, from your experience, do Nigerians really see themselves from religious lenses? In your opinion?
Yeah, thank you very much. The truth about it is that the larger Nigerians on the street, in the market, in school, in the military, in different institutions and centers, see themselves as brothers. But you see, their relationship is not magnified. There are some few Nigerians who capitalize on the lack of magnifying that relationship to now remind them that the other people do not belong to them. The other people are against them. The other people want to take away what rightfully belongs to them. I used to say this, and I will say it also on this national media, that is a strategy of corruption and stealing. Because when they jam our heads, we are fighting, then within the period we are fighting, they will take a huge amount and disappear. So these Nigerians that are understanding each other in the market, in the bars, on the street, in school, we need to really magnify that relationship. We really need to show people that that relationship is up. I think we've just seen example now by what you did when you opened the floor for people to comment. You got one from Makurdi or Benue, you got one from Lagos, you got one from Abuja, and many other places. You can see they are not in one place, but they are almost saying the same thing. Understanding that as far as they are concerned, let's live together, let's be happy together. You didn't plan this, but it works. Look at what they did. So Nigerians love each other. Have you seen what we do when we play football? Have you seen the sorrow that passed across the country, including those who do not know the footballers, when we play? So we just love our country, but there are others who seems to love dividing us, and then they push the narrative that today we are trying to correct. But why is the narrative strong? Because we are not amplifying the other good narrative. Amplifying the other good narrative would have been what will lower their narrative. But when we keep doing it, and I wish to recommend that, NTA, you've started well, you've been doing well. Can we make it as a matter of policy that every month we'll have a day in Good Morning Nigeria to just discuss religious harmony, to discuss people? We don't wait for occasions. When we keep doing like that, you can see that you have huge followers. And if all other medias in Nigeria are doing it, radio, television, within 1 year, 2 years, you will see the orientation will go faster than what we are doing. But my submission simply is, Nigerians are united. Nigerians love themselves. Nigerians want to be together. But there are people who are instigating them. Let's expose those who instigate them and promote those words of unity, understanding, so that when next someone wants to push a bill in America, he will push a bill to promote or to show example of how Nigerians are united, so that the American community too will be united. Because I would say, if people care to listen, Americans have their problem. They have killings going on even in churches and other places of worship. But you see, they don't play that story. Our story becomes more important. Can we sell the good story to them so that they will use it and also learn and know how it works here in Nigeria?
So much. We still have some messages before I go to Imam Fuad, and let me read some of them. Senator Ted Cruz's assertion that 500,000 Christians are being killed in Nigeria is a gross misinterpretation of a complex crisis. This figure is a drastic exaggeration that is not substantiated by any credible data from international monitors, humanitarian organizations, or local authorities on the ground. That's coming from Ame Baba Dikwa. And Ango Liman said, I appreciate the objective opening remarks made by Reverend Hayab. The main issue we as Nigerians want is to stop the killings. The statistics of who is being killed, the more should be set aside. And Chike Dim from Wari Delta said, I commend the NTA for featuring this critical topic in today's discussion. We all know that religious disharmony poses a significant threat to social cohesion and peaceful coexistence in Nigeria. Until we understand that religious beliefs should foster social integration and harmonious coexistence, we will struggle to achieve greatness as a nation. I also applaud the discussants on today's program. Another one said, good morning, Nigeria. From Musa Abubakar, he said, one of the functions of embassies is information gathering. They inform their government about significant political, economic, and social developments in the host country. I hold the U.S. Embassy responsible for the spurious allegation against Nigeria. The Nigerian Senate needs to invite the U.S. Embassy for explanations. Thanks. And Christopher Abiodun from Abuja said, good morning, Nigeria. The only way we can shift this narrative is for Nigeria's Muslim community to actively speak out against this deplorable act. And thank you for the opportunity. And another one said, the program is quite interesting. I want to commend NTA for bringing good hands to discuss this. Kudos to NTA. And Margaret Maaji Adamu from Nasarawa said, good morning, Nigeria. I want to commend you for this program. Can I suggest to Nigerian government to please remove the religious status on documents like admissions or employment forms? What has religion got to do with studies or your skills? Thank you. And another one said, good morning, he's Edet Makinde from Ibadan. Parents have to first teach their children to learn how to live in unity with one another, no matter your religion. Charity begins at home, and that's talking about the value system in Nigeria. And Rahmatu Nnenna Usman said, peace be upon you all. I truly wish the Christian community would understand that we share a common enemy. There's hardly any country where America claims to have intervened that remains the same afterward. They always come with an agenda far different from what they publicly portray.
I think we should pause.
Yes, and the evidence is there for all to see. Imam Fuad, you've listened to some of the messages that came in. There are so many Nigerians are contributing to this. While you respond to them, I want to ask you now, how can the media, like just what we're discussing here, both local and international, help present a more balanced view of religious coexistence in Nigeria, while you respond to some of these messages that came in?
Okay, let me quickly start from the media in Nigeria. You see, it is the way you present your mother that everybody will honor and respect her. Our journalists or our media people in Nigeria, I think they need more exposure. They need more training. They need more understanding about the situation on ground. They should have somebody who will expose them to the evil of bad reportage about our country. Let me give you an example. I was in a program in US some years back, and we went to, Washington Post? I can't remember the name of the newspaper we went to. There was something that was wrong that we saw. I now asked the editor, I said, why did you not report this? He said, Imam, this is our country comes first. I said, so you know the importance of that, you report bad thing about us. If some people can get to that level in another country, why is our own media people, they are not conscious of the country that gives them what they are? So we need that the media should be there. Then also the religious people, they are also important here. We should be able to remove the negative narrative that we have in our brain, that we have in our heart, that we do together. Let me give you a narrative. There was a time in Ilorin, around 1970, 71, 72. Those who are old will know this story. People of Ilorin used to eat boiled blood. And that boiled blood, they say in Islam, it was wrong. All the religious people in Ilorin, they came together. They were preaching it almost every day. Within 6 months, nobody was eating boiled blood again in Ilorin. Some people who were born around that time, they will not know that this kind of thing existed. The lesson we learn from that is that if religious people are to come together, I would say, we want to stop this thing, I assure you it will be stopped. But because the religious people also, which is because of stomach infrastructure, many people are in this position, the so-called religious leaders, they are there because they were just there for what they want to hear. And that's why I always tell government, we should ask a question as, who are the religious leaders? That is one question that Nigeria will not be able to answer. Is it somebody that has just one Islamia and something and he has mouth, is talking, is the one that is religious leader? Or is it the one that has built his own church and is the Alpha and Omega, is the one that is talking, that is he a religious leader? Until we're able to decide or to define who a religious leader is, this kind of problem will continue to be there, because somebody will just sit in one corner. I will be dishing out information to people. For example, those who wrote this thing, the media person, I don't know. I also mentioned the other time that there is a report that just came out. They call it American something on Freedom of Religious Commission. There are so many things which they do, and I query them. How many of you are in that office? Who are the people that you talk to that give you all these statistics that you are able to arrive at this conclusion? And because of what our people are saying, if you listen to what everybody is saying, somebody was even saying that, what do these people want to achieve? What they want to achieve is, we want to be eliminated. But it is we ourselves that will say, okay, we could not be eliminated. We have to come together. We have to reason together. We have to work together. And we have to live together. And when we do this, we will become a model for other nations to copy. I've always been telling people, God has given Nigeria what he has not given to any other country in this world. All what we need to do is to come together and be able to use it for the purposes that which it was meant for. I give an example. Chinese. When Chinese, they are not doing well in Olympics, they went to IOC and they convinced them to introduce some sports that are Chinese oriented Today, Chinese are having gold in the Olympics. We can also do that. We can influence the world. We can change the way the world used to do things. There is nobody that is not waiting for Nigeria. Go to anywhere in this world. The moment they are talking, after the 4 seconds statement, somebody must say something about Nigeria to let you know that we are very important. The entire world is waiting for us. But if we fail, all of us, God will not forgive all of us. And that is why the Muslims and the Christians, we should come together. We should learn more about ourselves so that we'll be able to do things better and we'll be able to do things right.
Let me quickly get to Dr. Salim Momale. And I'm asking, what's the most effective way, in your opinion, to communicate the true story of Nigeria's interfaith harmony to the international community?
Thank you very much. I think a lot of errors have been made. You know, when new issues come, like Nigeria was very peaceful, Nigeria had very good interreligious harmony.
Dr. Salim Momale. Okay, let me get back to Reverend Hayab with the same question. What is the most effective way to communicate to the international community Nigeria's true story of interfaith harmony?
I proposed that, and I just want to repeat it, that look, when we can bring together Christian organizations that are working on freedom of religious and belief, they work with different agencies globally and share reports monthly. When they understand these things and put their report in perspective, putting national unity and national security into consideration, the narration will change. If 15, 20, 30, 40 of them or 50 are saying the same story accurately, it will change. That's one. And the Muslims also do the same thing. It's not applying to one. So these are the things that we need to do. And we just need to also educate Nigerians that there are things they sell to us and we think it is for our own good. It's not for our own good. I'm happy that Father said something earlier, and I just want to repeat it. When anybody tells you that, oh, we want to put Nigeria in countries of particular concern, and you are thinking he's doing you a favor, he has completely destroyed you. Because once Nigerian is put among countries of particular concern, one, arms will not be sold to us. And what is the implication? Terrorists will now be powerful, more powerful than our military, than our security. We are struggling to defeat them, and we now do not have arms. Then we're just giving them victory. So if someone really wants to help us, he shouldn't help us to destroy us, to kill us, to make our victims becoming more worse. He should help us to protect us. If there's anything that is wrong at all, we deal with the people who are doing it. Who are the sponsors, as someone asked? Go after them, arrest them. If we find anybody in power as part of the sponsor, we place him where he belongs, than to put pains on all Nigerians for crime that Nigerians don't know anything about.
Well, let's reach out to Dr. Momale. Victor asked you a question earlier. In just 30 seconds, can you respond to it? And what advice do you have for the international community about religious tolerance in Nigeria? In just 30 seconds.
Okay, I think Nigeria is a quite unified country. There is no discrimination on religion. That is a big message for the international community. And our religious leaders, our political leaders, the National Assembly, the Ministries of Information and Foreign Affairs should come together, identify those Nigerians that they need to work on to address this challenge, because it has implications on our national security. It has implications on our regional security across West and Central Africa. And I think the stability of Nigeria is very critical, and this needs to be understood by the international community.
Dr. Salim Momale, let me quickly get the final thoughts of Reverend Father Unamba in 30 seconds, please.
Yes. Okay, just to address a particular question that was raised by Margaret from Benue State regarding putting religious coloration in many of the things we do. Let us see ourselves as Nigerians. I think I support her desire. Let us not, when you go for employment, you don't need to ask where is your religion. And sometimes, even when those things are not there, from your name, they will know that you're Muslim and Christian, and then you begin to discriminate you. So generally, I want to wish Nigerians a very happy living together. it is good to live together, because when we are together, the more we are together, there's a song that goes that way.
Exactly.
Be happier we shall be. So let us.
We used to sing that in primary school, actually, but I don't think this generation does it. So thank you, Reverend Father Dr. Emmanuel Namba, Chairman, Interreligious Dialogue Commission, Catholic Archdiocese of Abuja, priest in charge of St. Cyril Catholic Church, Kadu Kuchi, Abuja. We appreciate your contribution to this conversation, which is very, very apt, And Reverend John Hayab, Chairman, CAN Northern Region, Kaduna State, Kaduna Studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Salem Amole, peace advocate, he joined us via Zoom from Bauchi. We appreciate your input into this conversation. And Imam Fuad Adeyemi, Chief Imam Al-Habibiyah Society of Nigeria, he joined us via Zoom from Istanbul. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your contribution on this very, very important topic that we've discussed today. And to Nigerians, remember, we can only excel when we live and understand each other very much. Thank you.
We must also thank our viewers who sent in contributions. Many messages we couldn't take because there are too many and we didn't have the time.
I'm Juma Yusuf. Do have a wonderful day.
And I am Victor Azu. We'll see you again tomorrow.